Hi everyone. So I welcome you in this new series of learning where we are going to discuss LLaMA. We already covered Gemini, that is one of the LLM model by Google. Now we will discuss the LLaMA, the LLM model by Meta. My name is Bipul and I will be the instructor for this particular learning journey with you, right? So before I will start with the LLaMA, let me tell you what's the basic difference between the Gemini that we already discussed earlier and the LLaMA that we are going to discuss now. Okay, LLaMA is something which is called open source LLM, right? This is open source LLM. Okay, Gemini is what? Closed source, right? That's why when you are using the Gemini, you are using it through API. Okay, LLaMA you can access, you don't require to use API in the LLaMA can be used, can be installed into your system independently. You can directly install the LLaMA into your system and can use it. Even you don't require internet connectivity, right? For Gemini, you require internet connectivity because you are connecting with the Gemini LLM using the API. You access the API and then using the API, you're connecting with the Gemini, and this LLM model is actually sitting on the Google server. But this LLM model can be installed into your system, can be retrained, can be fine-tuned according to your own need, right? That's why it is called what? Open source LLM model, right? So now we need to understand which one is good, open source or closed source. See, both are good, okay? Just depends upon your own need, okay? But you need to know the difference so that you can decide which one to use, okay? Like suppose LLaMA if you're using, so you don't require internet, right? Because you are installing everything into your system, but you required a good specifications. Okay, your system should have a good specification which can hold some 10 20 GB of LLM models or 100 GB of LLM models, right? So you required a good specifications, you required a good sort of RAM, right? You required sometimes if you're using a very large LLM model, you may require kind of a GPU capability, right? So if you're using LLaMA, there are so many investment you may have to make in your own system, but the benefit is your data will remain within your system. Okay, it will not go outside. When you are using Gemini or ChatGPT, here it's like you don't require that high quality system, that high specification system. You just need to program, and through API you can access these features, the features of these guys, and thereafter you can make use of it. Okay, now if you compare the speed, so speed depends upon again use cases. Sometimes people say that LLaMA may be little slow. Sometimes people say that if you're using internet, so Gemini or ChatGPT may be slow. But this totally depends upon your own use cases. Suppose if you're using a very large scale private data, okay, large scale private data, right? And using this large scale private data, you want to train either of these model. Okay, so now it's if you are using your own, okay, if you are using your own LLaMA, or if you're using your own system in which you have installed LLaMA, right? So this may be comparatively slower, right? Because everything will be done by your system, training, predict training, thereafter generating, right? So it may be slightly slow compared to the closed source model that you are using through API, right? So here, because the training will be done over the cloud, okay, and then it is generating the output and it is just showing the output to your own system. But here everything will be done by your system. That means you are capturing your own private data. Thereafter you are giving this private data to the LLM model. LLM model will try to understand your data. Thereafter it will also generate the outcome. So in some cases you may find it little delayed, but obviously it is more secure as you can use it without internet, right? But before we proceed ahead, there are few things that we need to understand over here. What are those things? We need to know what is LLM. Obviously I'll explain it. We'll set up Ollama. What is Ollama? I'll explain. Through Ollama we can actually use LLaMA and others, other open source model. Use Ollama API with Python, that also I'll tell you. Customize prompts, that is a prompting. We'll also tell you how to use Hugging Face. That means Hugging Face is a platform. It is like a play store of many LLM models. Okay, on Hugging Face, through Hugging Face, actually you can access a lot of LLM model free of cost. Okay, or some maybe paid kind of thing, but yeah, most of the LLM model you can easily access from here easily with the API. Right. So we'll also say how can we use Hugging Face to access the LLaMA through API. Now build a simple chatbot, and then we will also build some application involving LangChain and LLaMA. Right. So these are the things we are going to do one by one, step by step. If you find anything which is not clear, you want me to explain, or you want a separate kind of a explanatory video, you can just put the things into comment. All right. Now first we need to understand what is LLM. Right, large language model. So a definition I already given over here. It is a kind of a AI system, right, which is trained on massive amount of text. Okay, when I talk about text, it means what? That text may came from books, it may came from a lot of websites, it may came from articles. Like there are a lot of text data basically gets accumulated. Like the person, the team who created LLM model first collects or accumulates a lot of text data, right? And based on that text data, the AI system is trained. Okay, so that it can understand the human language, whatever that a human picks up, or whatever the instruction a human will give, like you, like me. We want that LLM model to understand. That's why a LLM model had already been trained on the text data that a human uses. Fair enough? Now, LLM don't understand over here the language like humans. Okay, now you may say like what you were saying. First, you told that this is made using the text data so that it can understand human language. Now you are telling that LLM don't understand the language like human. Then what it will do, right? So what it does, it just predict the next word based on the pattern they seen in the training data. Okay, like during the training you had used some sort of text data. From that text data, LLM identified the patterns, like what kind of pattern exists between the different kind of combination of words, right? So it just generates, when you talk about LLM model is generating something, it will generate the first word. Okay, then based on the first word it will generate the second word. Now based on these two words it will generate the third word. Then based on these three words it is in a fourth word, fifth word, right? And in this way it will, like one by one, by generating the next word or predicting the next word, it will form the whole sentence. All right, so that's how it actually works. Like human, like when you talk, right, it's not like that word by word you predict and you talk, right? We just speak up all the words at once, right? In a sentence we can form and can do it. But LLM model, since it is a machine, it just create one word, and then with that one word it will try to predict the next word, and then next word, then next word, right? So this is how a LLM model generates the outcome, right? And it is basically, it can generate the outcome like this because it is trained on a lot of text data, okay, that a human uses in different languages. All right, so machine learning helps it to identify the pattern among the words, and then based on the pattern it try to make some predictions, or you can say make the predictions of next possible word, right? So now this is called LLM. So LLM is already we understood, it is just a machine learning model which is trained on text data to predict text. All right, now we talk about LLaMA. LLaMA means what? Large language model, which is basically generated by Meta, okay, developed by Meta. Now LLaMA is having three versions. LLaMA 1 released in 2023, LLaMA 2 in 2023, right? LLaMA 3 2024, right? So this was the first, this was just for academic uses. LLaMA 2 was made open sources. It was made open source and it was used for real world apps. LLaMA 3 is basically more smarter, more faster, because it has been trained on more parameters. Okay, whenever you try to install any LLaMA model, you'll get an option to install it in 7B or 13B or 17B parameters or 17B form. What this means? If there is a LLaMA model and it is mentioned over there, it is LLaMA 7B, right? That means it is being trained on 7 billion parameters. Okay, if it is mentioned 13B, that means it is being trained on 13 billion parameters. If it is 70B, then it is being trained on 70 billion parameters, right? So that's presents like how many parameters has been used to train such model. Okay, like if it is 7B, then it is just like a high school student. If it is 13B, it is like college graduate, right? 17 billion parameters, that means it's like a PhD scholar. If you are using a larger model, okay, that means it is being trained on more number of parameters, it is having more reasoning power, but it is slightly slow, and it will consume more space, more memory into your system, because here we are going to install it locally into your system, right? Now the point over here, to use this thing, we will use it in two way. One is called prompting, other is called fine tuning. Okay, so prompting will start with the prompting, and later on we'll go to the fine tuning. Okay, prompting is like we just give it a prompt. Okay, we just give it an instruction, giving the model an instruction or a question. We just give it any prompt, like summarize this email. Okay, or tell me something about global warming. Okay, tell me about the tourist place in India. Okay, tell me about kind of different animals that are existing on this earth, right? So it's like we're giving a prompt, and based upon the knowledge this guy is having, okay, because it is some number of parameters used to train them, so based on the knowledge this guy is having, it will just give you the output. That is called prompting, right? Fine tuning is like you have your own private data, like you have a PDF file representing your company functionality or the company product, the kind of refund rules or return rules, isn't it? Or any information, okay, any custom data basically. Okay, so if you want your model to, if you want that llama should know about your custom data, so that later on it can give you the answer related to your custom data, like it can act as your personal assistant. Okay, so when you hire a personal assistant, what do? You just give a training to your personal assistant, right? Like, this is my company, these are the products we make, okay, this is how we function. Okay, so here we have to create a document representing everything about our organization, and that will be our custom data. And then after, we'll teach our llama model with this particular custom data. Like, here is an example, teaching it medical terms using doctor transcript, so that it can understand different medical term, and then you can ask any question related to healthcare sector, right? So we'll start with the prompting part first. Okay, so what can we use llama, where we can use it? We can use it for customer support chatbot, we can use it for teaching assistant or tutor boards, we can summarize news PDF or docs, we can use it for the coding assistant, we can generate the ideas for writing, right? So these all things we can do with the help of llama. All right, so the first thing that we are going to do over here is, like, we'll just try to understand how to install and how to use it, right? So for installation purpose, right, what we do, we make use of Ollama, right? So what are we going to discuss now? We are going to understand the installation purpose. What are the things that we required, and what kind of a specification my system should have. Okay, so if I want to install and run llama, then we required Ollama, right? Ollama is what? Is a tool that makes it easy to download and run large language models like llama. Okay, it means what? If I want to install llama into my system, first thing I required Ollama. So Ollama is just like a software or a tool you can consider, using which you can easily install llama into your own computer. Okay, so that you can use llama even if you are offline, right? That means you don't require internet, right? So it gives a chat-like interface in your terminal and can be integrated with Python apps, right? So initially you can use it into your terminal, and later on you can also integrate with the Python or any kind of application. So this is just like a chat GPT, okay, for your computer, which will be powered by LLaMA, and you can use it without internet, right? So now what to do? To do this thing, first we need to install. So how can we install? So for installation purpose, we have over here, we need to go to this particular website, which is called ollama.com/download. Okay, this is your first exercise that we do so that Ollama can be downloaded into our system. So once you download this Ollama into your system, next what we need to do? We need to download and install the different. First it will be installed, and thereafter we will install the LLaMA into our system, or download the LLaMA into our system, right? So once it will be done, then what will happen? We can check if it is running or not. So to check it, we will go to our command prompt. I'll show you, and in the command prompt we'll just run over here Ollama version. Ollama version. Okay, so version is 0.7.1. That means Ollama is installed into my system. It is already running into my system. Next, we need to do what? We need LLaMA into our system. So for LLaMA into our system, what we need to run this particular command. Okay, which command? If you see over here, Ollama pull LLaMA 2. Right. So when you run this command, the LLaMA 2 will get installed. You can also use LLaMA 3, right? But LLaMA 3 may take more space. All right. So once you installed Ollama, you checked that the particular version is reflecting over here. That means it is installed. Now we do what? Ollama pull this thing, LLaMA 2, right? So when you press enter, it will just install it. I'll not press enter because I already have installed this thing. If I want to check what all LLaMA version I have, I can just use Ollama list. So if you see in my system, I have 3 LLaMA versions. One LLaMA 2, okay, which is 7.4 GB of space it is taking, right? Then again LLaMA 2 latest, this is 13 billion, this is 7 billion. Okay, 7 billion parameter is taking 3.8 GB. And I also have not 7 billion, I guess it is 8 billion, because we have 8 billion parameters, right? If you, I'll show you. Let's check once. Y2X. Just guess over here. See, we have okay, 7 billion, 13 billion, 70 billion. Okay, fine. So in LLaMA 2, we have 7 billion. Fine. So it is what? 7 billion, right? This is 13 billion, and this is 8 billion. LLaMA 3, we have installed 8 billion. Okay. I can choose any one of them for any kind of execution. Okay. Let's suppose if I want to use use LLaMA 2. So what I can do, I can just use over here Ollama run. Okay. And if I want to use this thing, so I'll just copy this, I'll paste it over here. Okay. So now as I execute it, it will start running what? The LLaMA 2. Okay. Model requires more memory. So it means there may be a, when you are getting this kind of thing, it means what? It means you may be running some of the software which is consuming some of the space, some RAM space into your system. That's why it is not getting enough space to run into your system. So what we can do? We can try with just LLaMA 2, right? Because LLaMA 2 is using 3.8 GB, right? So it requires lesser space. As it requires lesser space, you know, the chances of this thing, this particular LLM model to run into your system will be higher. That's what I said you earlier, that when you use LLaMA, your system specification plays a very important role. Okay, like you can see 13 billion parameter didn't work over here, but the LLaMA 2 with 7 billion parameter it worked. Okay, this will also work because this is also required just 4.9 GB of space. That also I can check. But now let's ask this guy, what is Python? Okay, I just ask it something, and then it is expected to give me the result. So it is saying Python is high-level interpreted programming language that is widely used for various purposes such as web development. Now, you know, to use this, you don't require actually internet, right? Internet is required if you're using ChatGPT or you are using Gemini. But for using LLaMA, you don't need it. Why? Because already you installed or you downloaded, right? You downloaded the files into your own system. As you have downloaded the files into your own system, then that means you can use it offline as well, isn't it? So now it is just giving me some kind of a result over here. What is Python and all? So once it is done, I'll just try to give few more prompts and try to check how is it working, right? So let's wait for the timing it is finishing its job, and thereafter we'll give some more prompts. So finally, if you see, it has given so many information about Python. Looks good, right? Now we can control it. Like it had given 10 points. I just want suppose 2 points, 3 points. So we can control it using our prompt. So I'll give it a prompt over here. Summarize the history of internet in 3 bullet points. Okay, now check. Okay, so now it will give you the controlled output. Okay, just 3 points will be there. The first network that could be considered what it is giving me. Let me just remove this thing from here. Okay, the first network that could be considered the precursor of the modern internet is ARPANET, and some explanation about ARPANET. In 1980, the internet protocol was developed, which allowed different networks to communicate with each other and formed a basis of modern internet. All right. Now it works good. Now let me give it few more prompts over here. Okay, let's say I'll give it a prompt. Let's check few prompts like write a welcome email for a new employee. Okay, so let's see what it is doing. Nice. So it had given subject and thereafter the employee name, and then what message required that it is giving to, that it is generating, right? Nice. It really works good, right? You can just compare its working, like how is it working, and you compare these prompts with ChatGPT as well and check like whether ChatGPT is working good or getting the result that you want. But many a time when you don't have the internet access, okay, so it's difficult. It is not possible to use ChatGPT or Gemini. Okay, so when you don't have an internet access, then also LLaMA you can easily use, right, into your system, isn't it? Okay, so let it compare, right? Let ask this guy to compare with GPT. Okay, we have LLaMA and we also know that there is something called GPT, right? So I ask it, explain LLaMA versus GPT in simple terms. Okay, so let's say what it is. Now here there is no limitation of tokens. Okay, like in GPT, when you are using, there used to be a limitation that up to a certain extent you can use it. Thereafter you have to pay something. Here you don't have to pay, right? That is also important. Okay, if you're using any closed source LLM model, you have to pay something for that. But LLaMA is open source, so you don't have to pay anything. You can use it free of cost. So what is saying? LLaMA and GPT are both language models that can generate human-like text, but they have some key differences. LLaMA is a language model that developed by Meta that uses combination of natural languages. NLP, obviously, NLP is used everywhere, deep learning techniques to generate text. It is trained on massive data set, obviously. Then LLaMA can be used for a variety of tasks such as text comprehension. Most important, unlike GPT, LLaMA does not require any additional training or fine-tuning to use, making it more accessible to the users, right? So here, it is one point. It should also mention that it is open source. I don't know why it didn't mention it. Now, GPT is a language model that developed by Google that uses transformer architecture. It is trained on large data set. Obviously, GPT can be more versatile than LLaMA in terms of tasks it can perform, but it requires additional training or fine tuning before it can be used. GPT is also more computationally intensive than LLaMA. So this guy is telling itself that what is the difference, isn't it? So this is how you can give the prompt and can make use of it. Okay. Now, if I have to close it, so what can I do? I have to give it like this. This slash should be opposite, right? Now I came out of it, right? Now, as I have multiple llama model, I can check it like this. If I want to use this guy, okay, so what I can do, I can use Ollama run this thing, right? So now it will, if I have enough space left, it will run it. If I don't have enough space left, it will say that you require few more spaces. So it is good. You can install some lightweight model, some heavyweight model. So now it is working, right? So that you can just use them according to your requirement, right? If some lightweight model is not giving you the result what you're expecting, so you can use some heavyweight model. Now we will work on server. That means we'll see like how can we use llama to create a application, okay, some web application. Now if I want to use llama to create an application, what we need to know how can we use it to for the server purpose. Okay, so here if you see I mentioned over here, these are the prerequisites to use llama. First of all, it required Python installed, okay, and Ollama should be installed, and tools used like Python plus request. So request as of now we don't need it. When next in the next practical we have to use request. I'll tell you when it is required. You must start Ollama in API server mode. Now we need what we are going to work on this thing. Okay, what it will do? This will start a local API server, right? Next practical, next lab that we do is like we'll start a local API server so that using this API, right, we can create our own application, isn't it? We can create our own web application. We can create any kind of application like a kind of a generative AI application. We can, and that application can be deployed anywhere. So next is about using the Ollama server, right? So first practice this thing, make sure everything is installed into your system properly, things are working. Thereafter move to the next part in which we will discuss Ollama server. All right, keep learning, stay tuned.